Hello everyone, my name is John from myenglishclass.online, and today we're talking about remind and remember. Today's video is part of a English grammar series, so check it out at the website. Today's video contains 3 sections. The first section is basically the meaning of remind and remember, and then the second section will be the specifics of remember, and the third section contains the specifics of remind. First, the meanings of each. Let's start with remember. So remember is when you use your head and you think. There's a memory. You are active, doing an action. The result is a memory in your mind. I remember my birthday party last year. I blew out the candles. Yeah, ooh, that was fun. I remember my birthday party. Time for part 2. Some specific things about remember. What you need to do here is differentiate between remember to and remember with the ing. You remember to go or you remember going. They have totally different meanings. If you remember to do something, that means that you need to do something and you don't forget. Remember to wash the car. The car is really dirty, okay? You haven't washed the car yet. It's something you need to do. You remember to do something before you do it. You remember to wash the car and then you wash the car. Another example, did you remember to lock the door? You were the last person to leave the house, so it was your responsibility. Did you remember to lock the door? Or is the door open now? Remember to call me next week. That means that next week you need to call me. What about remember with the ing? If you remember washing the car last week, that means that last week you washed the car. Maybe you cut your hand. I remember washing the car last week. I cut my hand. I remember eating hot dogs by the campfire when I was a Boy Scout. I remember thinking, this is a great example. But now that I'm doing it, I don't know. This is part 3. We're talking about remind. We're going to talk about the preposition of and about. If you remind somebody about something, you're helping them to not forget. Bob reminded me about Mary's birthday. I never remember Mary's birthday. I think it's in May. I don't know. So I wrote her a card and I mailed it. Poor Mary. Bob reminded me about something. Remind him about the car. What about the car? He needs to go pick up the car. Or, I don't know, he needs to call the mechanic. Remind him about the car. The longer version would be, remind him that the car is ready. He should pick it up. Remind him that the car is ready. Now, remind with the preposition of. This is cause someone to remember. Probably because it's similar to something. The most typical example here would be, she reminds me of her mother. Maybe your grandmother talking about your sister. She reminds me of your mother. Everybody has these conversations. Another very typical sentence. Who does he remind you of? You and your friend know someone who looks like him. So who does he remind you of? But what about just remind with a verb? What do you think? Remind to or remind with the ing? Let me give you 2 examples. You tell me which one is correct. Remind me to call Jim later. That sounds good. Remind me calling Jim later. Obviously, by my face, I think you know that the first one is correct. The second one sounds horrible. Definitely remind me to call Jim later. And that's it for today's video. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned from it. If you did, click over here and you can subscribe. Click over here. You can watch another video in this English grammar series. Continue learning. Leave a comment below.